Aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 50. How's that? Almost 1 year, gang. Almost 1 year. This this week's word, like I said, that's what it's turning into, is antagonist or antagonize. And I notice there are a lot of them out there. And see, you guys know me, right? Okay, I use sarcasm like a knife. And that's because one of my favorite comedians, believe it or not, comedians, was George Carlin in his early years. And he did basically what Will Rogers did back in the 40s, I think, 40s or 50s. And while Will Rogers was a political satirist, he made fun of the government, okay? And George Carlin, he made fun of everything, but he used sarcasm, and he was a comedian. His purpose was to make people laugh. The part was he was trying to use his sarcasm to make people learn. And when you make people laugh, they're not gonna take you seriously. Really. I mean, he's a joker, you know. But he in those days, that's the way he did. That's the path he chose for his fame and fortune. He really wanted to change the world. But when you look at when he came out in the '70s and stuff, the '70s was full of protests. We were coming out of the '60s, and the '60s were major protests. I mean, when I was in high school back in the early '70s, I think 1971 or '72, we had an incident where a custodian was fired for punching this kid. Well, he didn't want to punch, he gave him a licking. But that's because the kid was on punk. And he liked to pick on people, and he was a bully. And this custodian, even though he was an adult, and when I say adult, the kid was 17 years old, and this adult was 28, so like 10 years difference. So I mean, we're not talking a big difference. But he pushed the custodian so far, and he made fun of him. This custodian, he had some developmental problems. I mean, and we were all nice to him because he was cool, he was fun. He'd laugh with us, talk with us. But this kid just had it in that day, and he just shoved the custodian the wrong way, and the custodian shoved back, not physically, verbally. The kid attacked him, and the custodian just smoked him, and the custodian was fired. And so what we did was we organized a sit down, a sit in those days. The entire school, you don't cut class. I mean, you don't cut out of school. You stay in school, but you do absolutely nothing. We sat down. We went outside in the lawn, and in the bleachers. We had bleachers in the back, and everybody just sat down for the whole day. And one of our students had connections with the local news companies. And so TV came in. And, to make a long story short, the custodian was rehired. He was reemployed. And the student he didn't graduate. Yeah, he lost his senior year. So sometimes, yeah, protest does hurt work. But, for a positive cause. These antagonists, like I watch X now, X and YouTube, but YouTube, it's the same things over and over. So I gotta change. But I'm looking at X, and X is open, everybody, right? I mean, they don't, they don't censor. Elon Musk wants total free speech. And these people have not learned that total free speech comes with responsibility. And some of them just like to just make trouble. I don't know why. I mean, dude, is this 15 minutes of fame so important to them? I mean, well, you seen Jackass, right? That movie and the series and everything, and they got hurt really bad, and people start, these idiots watch them, and then they try to think like the cinnamon one, where you take a tablespoon of cinnamon and try to hold it in your mouth and swallow whatever. I don't know what you do with it. It's so stupid. It's like I said, my favorite one with a semi-automatic pistol. You know, but they do, and they start coughing, 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 and some of them actually get they they have aspiration. And cinnamon does not belong in your lungs, folks. Let me tell you, it's bad. It just dries it up. They can die. You can die from that. But that's the kind of stuff they do on Jackass. You watch these guys. Well, a lot of them, they're professionals. So what they do it professionally, and once in a while you get mistakes. Like now we're seeing a lot of Instagrammers dying with by mistakes, you know, and because they wanted their 15 minutes of fame. And the antagonizers do the same thing, but what they're doing is they're starting fires that sometimes they don't put out. You can't put them out. Okay, I use sarcasm. You guys know that. I love sarcasm because sarcasm, it shows the stupidity of, or what I think is the stupidity of what the person is saying, what the person does. It's like the emperor's new clothes, and I am going to say, hey, no, the emperor's got no clothes on. That's an antagonist. You know, here comes the emperor walking down the street, and the little boy says, "But mommy, the emperor doesn't have any clothes." Today, they would call him an antagonist. Yeah, conspiracy theory, and anti-American. A good example is Charlie Kirk. His Erica's in the news, and remember I told you when the event first happened, Erica said she was going to take over, and I said that, and I don't wish any bad things to happen, but TP Turning Point USA was Charlie Kirk. What he wanted to do with it, where he was going to go with it, how he was going to put it out, that was all Charlie Kirk. And when you get something that exclusive, when you die, it should be put to rest. I'm not saying that it's not a worthy cause. He wanted to turn America around, get it from okay, this is my understanding, okay? I can be totally wrong with this, but what it is he wanted to turn people back to Christianity. Yup, he was very, very religious. Very religious, and he believed in God, and he believed that God, through him, he wasn't a Messiah, okay? Don't get me wrong, he couldn't walk on water, and he showed it. But that's what he wanted to do, and this is the way he did it, was through debate. And that's why I said when he passed away and Erica said she was going to take over, she knows what her husband did. She knows how he did it. But she has no, I don't think she has anything close to his talent, his wit, his quickness. And that's what made Charlie Kirk. He was smart, self-taught, very, very motivated, very religious. And you got to find a person with that combination. She is not. I'm sorry to say, she is not. And but the thing is, she goes on, and she's wearing the black and everything. And this is not being wise ass or anything. It's just what I observe. And she's only honing in that I'm Charlie Kirk's widow, and that's not what you can. People gonna give you the sympathy for only so long, and then it's gonna wane. You gotta come out. You took over. You gotta grab it, and you gotta run it in your direction. Now we see if you can take over. Very different. And that's what happens to a lot of companies. Walmart. what Sam Walton did. And then he gave it to his family, and look what the family did with it. How many times we've seen that over and over and over again. If you don't train your kids right and you give it to them, and they don't have your drive, your brains, there goes the company. That's why I tell people you have to. One of the things you learn is you never mix family and work. You gotta keep them separated, and this is why. I know a lot of guys, they build up their company and they want their kids to take over. But if the kids don't have it in them, or it's not in their want, it's not in, I mean, they were made from you, yeah. I mean, they have your genes, but it's like cloning the person. You're going to clone the person. Don't expect that person to have the same thing you got. Everything you got, you had to put in. They can give the physical, they can make the package, they can make the car, but they cannot put in, the motor and trans that you got. And they can't make it. You got to make your own. And that's what a lot of people don't recognize. It took me a while to figure it out. There's a saying that, when they made you, they broke the mold. Well, they break the mold for everybody, almost, well, unless for identical twins, okay? That's another story. But if it's just a single birth, that mold was broken. And it's what the person puts, is this, you're exposed to, how well you learn, your family, your friends. I mean, all your experiences come into you, make you who you are. We are each individuals. And that's what an antagonist goes against. And I guess, I don't know what causes them to come on and say some of these just buck ass stupid things. I'm sorry, excuse the language, but it is really dumb. And they grumble about, like, there was this one girl who said that her grandparents fled Nazi Germany to come to America. Well, now I have to leave Nazi America to return back to Germany. What? This isn't Nazi America. It's all the name calling that they're giving President Trump. And what President Trump's trying to do. They're all blaming. Remember, I had this talk about MAGA. They still don't get it. MAGA is a concept. It is not an organization. I mean, the guys that make money, they sell the merch. They've turned it into a business. But MAGA is a concept. It's like peace on earth. That's a concept. And President Trump is trying. I mean, that's his concept. Make America great again. He hijacked the tanker. And people are saying, oh, there's no proof that there's any drugs on the tanker. And there's no... How would you know we're still bringing them into port? It's not one of those things that the troops going to go in there, take over the ship, and then they're going to, they're going to search the whole ship and then show you everything. No, 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 no. This wasn't about oil, folks. Please don't, it's almost as stupid as 9/11 being caused by two airliners. Yeah, right. And people call me a conspiracy theorist. Well, the stuff that I talk about is not done by one man. The stuff that I talk about has been planned. Yes, it is a conspiracy. And so all conspiracy is just a planned thing. If you work by yourself, if you're a lone wolf, then okay, it's not a conspiracy. It is an act of a single individual. Like the mass shootings and stuff like that. It's a single individual. That is not a conspiracy. But a conspiracy is more than one person getting together. That's all it is. But people turn it into such, how they turn the words, like I told you, like the word discriminate, it means only to choose. Deserve, it only means worthy. The person, I've gone through this before. Remember the words of the week. Yeah, I just have to reiterate. But people that's the way they take it. I wish that they had a dictionary, and they do. They all got their pocket phones. Just go on the phones, type up Merriam-Webster dictionary, and if you can figure out, that's the only thing with Merriam-Webster dictionary's a site. You got to be kind of close to the spelling. That's where spelling you can't spell it phonetically. You gotta be kind of close because it goes by the spelling, and it gives you a list. You know, this isn't what you had, and that's why I can't use a smartphone because it's so small, and these eyes are so bad. You know, the printing is so tiny. I got to use a 30 power magnifying glass so I can read. I had to do that with my computer. I had to take the resolution down to make the everything appear bigger. It's what is it, 1920 by 1080 or something is the recommended resolution. I'm down to 1660 or 1680. And yeah, although everything is, you don't see a full everything in the screen because it's just spread out because it's bigger, but it is way, way clearer. And that's because I know I should get a bigger monitor, but I've already got 24. What you want me to do? Get a 75-inch monitor? The whole wall becomes the thing and you got to read like that? No. I want the main part just right in the middle. That's what I do. And I can move it around, okay? You got the balance, when you got this, then you got to get that. But yeah, antagonists, some of them, they're pretty funny. But a lot of them, they just want to make trouble. They're just troublemakers. That's what we call them. But you think about it, and then, like a lot of people, they just ignore them. Just next one. But sometimes I stop and wonder, why would this person say what they did? Like on X, a lot of the women, they're they hurt. They're hurt women. And or they ask, so am I fat? And you look at this girl and it's like, I wish I was as fat as you. Try to be as fat as me, okay? Or like the AI enhanced pictures have a lot to Yep, there's the bar again. AI the AI made pictures. There's a lot of them, and I'm beginning to you can kind of see. It's almost like what do you call those guys? The Joy Boys of Thailand. You're beginning to kind of see. I mean, you don't see an Adam's apple. Like mine, you don't, because I'm too fat. Yeah, never could see an Adam's apple. But when you see a female basketball player like Brittany Griner, she has an yeah. She notice they don't talk about her anymore. Yeah. And part of the reason is because it was a Olympic basketball star, played for the women's team. Now, what does that tell you about the Olympics, right? The Olympics don't want that known. They don't want to show people how political an association that they've become. They didn't. Everything doesn't start like that. It becomes like that. And got too much money and power, you know. Like Oprah and Barack went to the Olympic Committee to get the Olympic Games brought to Chicago. So they thought, those two, they thought they could go and talk to them. And the closest we got LA, right? LA's coming up, which is going to be a fiasco because, in LA, it costs you 3 or 4 times what it's supposed to cost you. So guess what it's going to cost LA? I mean, and I don't think the federal government's going to go in on that. They say, no, you wanted the Olympics, you pay for it. So Newsom's got another problem coming up. First off, they gotta clean the town. Remember how they cleaned up San Francisco for the Chinese chairman when he came through? It was all clean, yeah. Well, they gotta do that plus build sports venues. They don't. Well, they got the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. I don't know what else they have in LA. I'm not. I don't cut into California very often. Used to before, but not since the 70s. In fact, when was the last time? The 80s were the last time I went to California. Flew over it many times on the way to our ninth island. Yeah, I flew over California a lot of times, but don't stay there. Uh, Nothing to really do. But yeah, antagonists. I guess we need them because that's part of the balance. Yeah, you know the balance that I always talk about. We don't want them, but we need them. So funny, but it's true. But they serve a purpose. A lot of them, like I said, I listen to what they say. There is an ounce of truth in what they say. You got to find it. And then just don't believe them. Look at what they say and take it apart and you figure it out. If anything, it'll cause you to think. And a lot of people, it doesn't. They just get angry and just turn it off. But try and listen to it because a lot of times it's true that antagonizing that's going to spark a new positive way of thinking. You got to, that's the turnaround. Like one of the shorts that I saw on YouTube, it showed this coyote outside of the house. It was hung, posturing, tail between the legs, and crying out. And I said, the thing's hurt. Well, they came, and I never thought of rabies. See, I live in Hawaii. We don't have rabies over here, so I don't know what a rabid dog looks like, a rabid animal. And they said, oh, they're rabid, so, it's best to destroy them. But I mean, until they're tested, kind of jumping the gun, right? What if the coyote really was in trouble and he needed help? So you open the door, you check it out, and you wear gloves and stuff. And if the animal bites you, then you put a rope around him and that's it. Stretch him. But you give him the chance. In the animal kingdom, the only one that kills for fun, really for fun, is man. Isn't that ironic? We're supposed to be at the top of the food chain, the top of the animal. They say the top of the animal list, species list, and yet we destroy for fun. That's the yin yang thing, right? See, balance again, balance, because other animals don't. So this animal is there. It must have had a reason to come to the person's back door. I don't know if that's what rabid animals do. If any of you guys are out there and you guys know rabid animals, please let me know. Then I stand corrected, no problem. But the remarks that I got, couldn't you tell it was, no, we don't get rabid animals. We call them legislators down here. Again, sarcasm, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not rabid. More parasitic. Told you, just flows off the tongue, eh? That's my sarcasm. But yeah, I just wanted to, when you come across antagonized, and anti, it's just a concept that's against what you believe. Take time, try to look at it. There might be a piece of truth, there might be a seed in there that'll grow in you. Just give it a second thought. And next week is going to be the Christmas show. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Really. Please drop me some comments or something, what I can do to next week. It's going to be the Christmas show. Fast, yeah. I know. But it's good when you get older because the nieces and nephews are older too, and now they make more money than uncle. So you know what? Give uncle a gift. Of course that's going to happen. I'm holding my breath. Can't you see the purple shade coming out? Yeah, hypoxia. But have a wonderful week. Love each other, and hope that your year is going to end well. so that the new one can begin great. And I just want to say, hui ho, ma lama pono, and from me to you always, aloha. Bye bye. See you next week.